for the Onyx Storm vlog.
Does that mean they're dead?
I will admit to still being quite confused about who's who. Like,
Do I think that Onyx Storm deserves all of the crazy hype it's getting?
I have managed to leave myself 2 days to complete the Buzzwordathon challenge. Guys, I need to confess, I have definitely not finished the Buzzwordathon book in time. Hi everyone, welcome back to this corner of the internet. My name is Bethany Angarad. I am a book reader, school teacher and life vlogger. I have just come back from my first day of school with students and I'm just getting straight into this vlog because it is the Buzzwordathon vlog and it is the 30th of January. This means I have managed to leave myself 2 days to complete the Buzzwordathon challenge. If you don't know what the Buzzwordathon is, it is a challenge created by Kayla, who is Books and Lala. I believe she's been doing this for about 5, maybe a few more years, and it's got quite the following. And I've always been interested in being a part of it because Kayla was one of the first OG booktubers I ever watched. But I had never fully committed. But this year I am committing. I had mentioned in my TBR video that one of the books I am wanting to read for the cover side of the challenge is The Museum of Modern Love. For the first time ever, Kayla has created like 2 challenges for her Buzzwordathon. The traditional challenge is the title one, which I will get to in a second. In the second half of this vlog, where you have to read a book with a certain word in the title. This is clean. But this year, for the first time, she's created like this. I keep calling it the Coverathon. She's just calling it the Buzzwordathon cover challenge, but I'm just calling it the Coverathon, where you need to have a book that matches the cover challenge, cover challenge. And that's what Museum of Modern Love is, because the challenge for Museum of Modern Love is pattern, and this very clearly has a pattern on it. Now, I could totally, technically complete this outside of January and kind of like, I owe myself it for the challenge, but I really want to push myself and to actually wholeheartedly complete this challenge without any shortcuts, which means I have today basically to read and finish, because I have started it, more on that in a second, to read and finish the Museum of Modern Love. And then I need to go to the library, figure out what book to get for the Buzzwordathon title side of the prompt. But these are definitely going to be monthly vlogs. Let me just get out of my skirt, because I know now that I am home, I'm going to spill something on a white skirt. So hopefully that kind of introduction makes sense. I will link Kayla's video down below where she introduces this year's Buzzwordathon challenge. And so, as I've mentioned already, that the Museum of Modern Love is my choice for the patterned book cover pick. So let me introduce you to this novel. This novel is about a guy called, I know his last name's Levin, Archie. Archie is a musician in New York, and ultimately his wife has left him. It is implied that she is suffering from depression, and she has told him that she just doesn't want to see him, whether or not they're actually breaking up or if she just wants like a break from the relationship is a bit unclear. But he is a musician and creates musical scores for films, some of them quite well known, and he's currently tasked to create a score for I think it was a Japanese film. But he's feeling really uninspired. He's obviously got a lot of personal stuff going on in his home life. And what he found himself doing is he found himself going over to the Museum of Modern Art, the MoMA Museum. Wait, that would be Museum of Modern Art Museum. The MoMA. And there is an interactive, a real life, a living, breathing piece of art by this woman who sits at a table and invites strangers. Well, she doesn't invite, she doesn't say anything, but there's a chair at the other side of the table that invites strangers to basically just stare into her eyes for as long as they want. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's hours, and she's going to be there for 75 days.
And our artist, Aki, is basically observing her all the time. He kind of gets sucked into seeing her, watching her, and observing who sits there and watches what happens. And then this is like slowly re-inspiring him. He is our main character, and we see his perspective every other chapter. On the other chapters, the alternate chapters to Aki's perspective, we see different people's perspectives. Sometimes it's also been centering on this other secondary character, but sometimes it's the artist's mother. Sometimes it's this intriguing narrator, just this I character who's just... My closest idea right now is like it's a soul, a ghost of some sort. I'm loving it so far. So in terms of a reading update, I am 57 pages of the way through of 270. So I still have 200 pages left to go, but I'm going to sit here. I'm going to make some progress on this. I'm going to have a snack. My goal is to finish this by tonight, and see if I can make a start on the next book today so I can finish it tomorrow to meet the January deadline. Don't know why I've done this to myself. Anyway, I feel like I've yapped for ages at the beginning of this vlog. We're just going to delve straight in after I've taken my makeup off, actually. All right, we have some mini eggs. Oh my gosh, these are so delicious, but so freaking expensive over here. These are my favorite crisps of all time. I find them in the Asian international section of the supermarket. I have a Lipton no sugar peach iced tea and the book. Guys, it has been an hour and my mind is blown. I've only read like, oh holy moly, 50 pages, which for me in an hour is not a lot. Not that it's about the volume, but the point of this is, have you ever heard of the actual artist Marina Abramovich? Marina Abramovich. Bethany, put this on the screen right now. I did not realize how much this novel was based on reality. The artists, and I ended up deep diving into Marina. She is a performance artist, and she quite genuinely has done some crazy performances. And the most crazy one that I found researching her is that one day I think she was performing technically for 6 or 7 hours, and she put 72 random objects on a table, and she said, like, you can do whatever you want to me using these and I will stay absolutely silent and absolutely passive. Things like a knife was on the table and someone cut her and drank some of her blood. I'm not making this up. This is not a vampire paranormal novel. This is real life. And then there was a gun, and like someone put the gun to her head and then put her hand, Marina's hand, on the gun to see if she would pull the trigger. It was loaded. And then the whole thing like realized, not that it was a social experiment, but one of the conclusions was that society, at least in this performance artist time of happening, splits into two groups: the protectors and the aggravators, let's say. And so there are some people who would stop and like be telling the museum or wherever the thing was held to like, shut it down, can't you see? But she had like signed a thing, everything was waved, some people gave her kisses, and oh my god, it's crazy. And then heaps of other artists are like name dropped, so I started looking into them, and there was like a 13-year-old artist who did the most amazing she's really famous for painting stills of like cheese and fruits. Crazy. So like, I am not hugely into art. I suck at history. Actually, I shouldn't say that about myself. I'm not good at retaining historical information from a traditional educational perspective. And I also don't typically have a huge interest in history, probably because it wasn't taught to me in the right way when I was at high school. At high school, for me, from what I remember, it was very much like remembering rules of the Treaty of Versailles and dates. Like, that's what I remember history being, and lots of note-taking. Hated it. It kind of ruined history. Kind of sucks because my mum's a history teacher, actually. Not that she's the one that taught me. Let's clarify that. My mum is a good teacher. She actually taught me social studies when I was at junior school. She taught me about Egyptian history, which I remember a lot about. Anywho, loving it. I just hit, excuse me, page 108. We have more secondary characters coming through, and Anki is still there, but he seems to be becoming less and less relevant, and I'm very intrigued by like how this plot has been structured. I cannot say it's a traditional multiple perspective. Also, I don't think first person perspective is actually the correct descriptor. It's third person perspective, but like flipping between different characters. Also, I mentioned that Aki's wife might have been like in a depressive episode. That is not the case. Excuse me, that was me just connecting dots where there were dots to connect, and that was one outcome, but it's not the correct outcome. I don't want to say exactly what it is because I feel like the book is slightly unfolding. It's unraveling. It is opening up as you read more, and like more and more connections are being like put together. And it kind of adds to the reading experience. But please, for the love of everything, do your trigger warning research if that is something you need to do, because there is like self-harm, there is like a lot going on. So please check in. I am now going to sit down and continue. No bookmark. Nope. Good morning, team. Okay, so I technically, in Aussie time, have not completed the Buzzwordathon. I finished Museum of Modern Art last night. I'll do a review when I get home. But did you know that American Samoa, it is currently, I believe, 2 p.m. So if I go by the end of 1st of January, American Samoan time, got 11 hours to finish this challenge, so I'm going to see if I can do that. For now though, I'm actually going to the library to drop off some books and pick up some books for the Wheel Choosers TBR video, which is coming out after this vlog. And I'm going to do some brunch. Got date night at what do we start? 4 o'clock, eh? We're going out, so I'll take you along. Thicker than I thought. I do have an ebook of a different recommendation, but I'll get this out in case it grasps my attention. I need to read a book, ideally by midnight tonight, which has the word truth or lies or something like it in the title. Alright, they've rearranged on me. KKK, don't finish that. C, D, E, F, G, H, K, 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 I, L. Oh. Okay. I'm just gonna grab a clip for the vlog. Tattoos. Yeah, I mean, it's like what? What one did he go for in the end?
Brisket one.
Ah. And then I've got the chicken waffles. Alright, we are back from brunch and I have returned to the Museum of Modern Love. I'm going to give it 4 stars. Now, I feel like you've heard me rave about this already in this vlog, so I won't go into too much detail. I did really enjoy it. I learnt a lot about art from it. There was a moment where, because Aki is a composer, there's a lot of conversations about music, and at one point he mentions like a symphony, and then I was like, wait, do I recognize that song? And I put it on, I'm like, yeah, I do. And then I listened to like a composer's album in the background that was mentioned in the novel as I was reading the novel. That was pretty cool. I had to dock it a star though, because in the last like 50 pages, I was getting pretty bored. I'm not gonna lie. It felt like this novel would have been more powerful if it was just that little bit shorter.
because of the focus being on just one main character observing this art, it meant that it started to get a little bit repetitive towards the end, but I would still highly recommend it. Now, of course, I've got to read the Buzzwordathon title book. I went to the library because I had to pick up some books for my Wheel Choosers TBR. Wait, I've just realised that's been in frame the whole time. Whoa, spoiler alert. I had to pick up some books for the Wheel Choosers TBR video. And I just happened to look around for any books that also had truth or lies in it. I had some really good recommendations from you guys. Thank you so much. I wasn't able to get any of them in physical copy, but I did find A Restless Truth in digital copy. And then as I was walking around, I found these. Oh my God, rug fluff. I found these 3 books. Oh wait, no, I just realised I made a mistake. This one was a recommendation from you guys. Jodie Picoult's Plain Truth. So there was this one, but then I found these 2 just walking around. And The Whole Truth by Cara Hunter actually sounds really good. But then I discovered this, Where the Truth Lies. It has truth and lies in the title. I feel like this is the novel I've got to do for this. All the other ones work, but none of them work as much as this one works. So this one is Where the Truth Lies by Karina Kilmore. Never heard of it or the author before, but when investigative journalist Chrissy O'Brien lands a senior job at the Argus, she is desperate to escape the nightmares of her past. Her life has become a daily battle to numb the pain, but her job is something she can do better than anyone else, and the only thing that keeps the memories at bay. A face-off on the waterfront between the unions and big businesses is just the kind of story to get her career back on track. But after a dock worker who confided in her turns up dead, Chrissy becomes obsessed with unraveling the truth. When a gruesome threat lands on her desk, it's clear someone is prepared to do anything to stop her. But who is more dangerous, a ruthless enemy or a woman pushed to the edge? Used to fighting her own demons, this is one battle Chrissy is determined not to lose. So it's a mystery. Also, the lines are pretty big. So I feel also it's just over 300 pages. I feel like I can do this today. I feel like I can do this. So this is going to be my second Buzzwordathon book. Alexa, time in America Samoa right now. So in American Samoa, today is still currently the last day of January because time zones exist. So I'm just going to try really hard to see if I can finish this today. I'm going to sit down now. We've got about an hour and a half until we need to leave for date activities and date night. So let's see what I can get done in that time.
Okay, first line thoughts. Gulls screamed and wheeled, diving around the towering metal cranes that stood as a silent guard between the land and sea. Tall and proud, they stretched almost through the blanket of grey that hid the morning sky. The cranes' splayed feet set solid, crucified by rusty bolts and rails to the concrete wharves. Some great metaphors there, some really good imagery. I'm feeling like this will be a good one for me in terms of being able to picture what's happening. So far, first impressions, they're good. Guys, I need to confess, I have definitely not finished the Buzzwordathon book in time for the end of even American Samoa was 31st of January. I have read almost 100 pages and I really like it, but date night last night just went on for not so much longer than I anticipated, but I just didn't do math properly in my head. I don't think there was a feasible way for me to complete that book yesterday at all. I'm still going to try finish it today. I've just sat down and done a couple of hours of schoolwork and I just need a break. So we're going to go for a walk to the library. I've got one book on hold that's come through. Morning team, I'm actually off to school this morning, but giving you a quick reading update, I only have 50 pages left. I actually absolutely chewed through it last night and read late into the night. I have to say I'm quite excitedly
Wait, no, you can tell my brain's waking up. I'm actually like really pleasantly surprised because I had no idea this was an Australian book when I picked it up. It's literally set around like some of the suburbs I've been to. I go to Richmond quite a lot because I've got friends in my book club who are around the area, and like there's sections which are literally down streets that I myself have also walked down, which is wild. And I just haven't had that experience before because we're growing up in New Zealand. I grew up in such a small town that there are no books set there, so it's actually really cool to be reading a story that is in a place that I recognise, so that's pretty cool. In terms of the plot itself, I see where things are going, but I have already predicted, like in the first 100 pages, who the mole is. So our main character is investigating this tragedy that keeps happening down at the wharfs and the docks, and they basically realise that someone in their journalism business, their newspaper business, is being a mole and giving people the heads up when she's finding things out. I'm pretty sure I already know who it is. It'll be a massive plot twist if it isn't, but I can't feasibly see how it would be anyone else. But other than that, so far I'm quite enjoying it. I'll definitely be able to finish it today, at least. Thank gosh. Almost there. Plot twist, I finished the book on the train this morning. So I've just hopped off the train. So I managed to finish it. I just committed, and I have to say that I think the ending was a little bit anticlimactic. The prediction I made about who the mole is, I'm correct, which is always kind of disappointing if it's something you figured out quite early on in the book. I do think that overall it was a really solid mystery. In terms of rating, I think I'm going to give it a 3.5. I'm sorry, like if it's a mystery and I can figure out like who the mole is, even though that wasn't like the biggest character revelation, like there was a whole thing going on about who was creating the incidents down at the wharves. That was a decent revelation, but it was all just a bit too easy, There wasn't like a jaw-dropping moment, and then there were times where I got a little bit confused about the dots that were being connected. Again, that is totally a me problem, but I mean, not to be funny, it's not like I'm dumb. So yeah, that's just where I'm at. I'm going to give it a final 3.5 stars, I think. But yay, the Buzzwordathon challenge is done for January. Obviously, I finished the second book in February, but you know what? We're just going to pretend that the fact that the book has 2 of the Buzzwordathon prompts in it negates the fact that I finished it just outside of January. That's how it makes sense in my brain. Good news is the next Buzzwordathon book, I found one that matches both of the February prompts. You'll see that in the Will Chooses TBR video, which will be out in a couple of days. So with all that being said and done, thank you for making it to the end of this video, and enjoy all the places you go in your own reading and life adventures. Bye bye. See you in the next one.